Hey, IDS 302. As promised, here is a Tuesday video to address some of the step two issues. And the reason I'm doing this is because I own this, in terms of if, if let's say three or four students do superior work, actually one, two, three, four, five, six, seven, I think really good. There's about 10 that haven't turned it in yet, and there's other folks that had a little trouble with it. So to not so much a level the playing field, but to make sure this is a experience that's it's going to be positive for you instead of actual absolute misery. I want to clear up step two because I think I explained to one student about this. This class continues to evolve. I started this from scratch, basically. Can you tell? And So as it has evolved, the papers actually get better because I get better and we get clearer, and then I get better samples. Okay. So I have better samples than the one that's in here every session. Next session is going to do really well. So, and as I say about all the samples, they're not perfect. They're not something that you need to zone in on and do exactly everything, change the font, put italics in, bold this, bullet point that. No, it's a guide to what I'm looking for. Okay, so let me just get this out of the way. In terms of italics, just don't use any. It's fine. I should have switched that before I got to this. Again, that's on me. Don't use italics. I mentioned that already. I'm really got to be emphatic about it. It's not the end of the world if you do, but some folks will give me whole chunks in italics, and that's just too much. Okay. Um, so let's talk about the content. Well, no, let's talk about more formatting. Also on this sample, there's a heading on the top first page and then nothing afterwards. Again, take your Word doc, double click up on top of it, and you'll get an opening for a header. Type your name on the left. If you want to, no, you don't have to do anything else. Just type your name on the left. That is it. I don't need to know who I am. I don't need to know the class. I don't need to know anything up there but your name. That way it'll repeat on each page and won't take up a whole bunch of lines. Then, just the way most of you did it and the sample does it, Tanner step two, semicolon, justify an interdisciplinary approach. That's a nice little title. It's bolded. That's fine. Okay. In terms of your works cited list, hanging paragraphs. If you don't know what they are, don't guess. You won't get it right. Just look at the works cited in the sample. These are hanging paragraph format. Okay, it's alphabetized hanging paragraph. Okay, if you don't know how to do it, you can Google it to find out. If you really need help, you can ask me, but it's something you should learn and you'll be able to do it. And there's writing centers, virtual writing center for ASU. I'd be glad to help you. It's so simple. I just want to explain it on video. Okay, well, you right click. No, forget it. Just, you'll get it. All right, so that's the formatting that I'd like to see. Continue through the steps as well until we get to the last paper, and then we'll fancy it up a little bit, okay? Um, in the meantime, though, content. Okay, so the interdisciplinary justification. I'm not even going to look at the sample right now because it most likely is crap in terms of content. I should have caught it. Again, I had two students, I believe, who hit it out of the park. They must have been reading my mind. I know I've had them in 301, so they kind of know how I think, and they've been hearing about integration for that long. But the deal is interdisciplinary justification for your research, okay, on this problem, for interdisciplinary justification for this problem, this issue. But the problem, the issue, you are starting to tailor it down, right? You started with that big thing, climate change, whatever. And I've talked to you about how you're going to collect your data, right? In this course, we're going to do a quantitative survey of random adults, okay? And that's the data you're going to get. That's how you're going to make this into actual research and not just a compilation paper of other research, okay? That's not your research, that part. that's part of your research, but it's not your research. Your research is getting this data and at the end of the day, analyzing a contrast, comparison, correlation, doing an analysis, okay? So we think about that when we're talking about interdisciplinary justification. So I'm trying to think of a topic that no one has in this class, and let's just say it is the problem of the American diet, okay, and how that benefits from an interdisciplinary justification. So if that's what my project was, the American diet, and it's an issue or problem because we rely on fast food, we don't have a lot of good nutrition, there's income problems, there's food deserts and things like that. I'm going off the top of my head on this, trust me, but get the idea. So we thought about that in step one. This is the problem. Now step two, we're saying interdisciplinary justification. Okay, the American diet, an analysis of the American diet benefits from an interdisciplinary justification because it's a complex problem. Remember, that's what Tanner says. That's what I'll say, that IDS solves complex problems. So the American diet is a complex problem. And the interdisciplinary justification, to look at it that way, helps us understand it better and potentially adds strategies for solution, etc. Okay, so you can look at some of the research sources from before that says that, from 1950 to 2010, the American diet, or the average American, or the obesity level in the American population has gone up to XYZ. Even youths are affected by this. Health, type 2 diabetes, you get into it, right? You get into it. So interdisciplinary justification means looking at it from a variety of fields, okay, such as medicine, economics, okay, nutrition, okay, because what are people getting nutrition from? McDonald's cheeseburger, or, etc. So let's say I'm thinking of this and I'm thinking about nutrition, political science, even economics. Um, sorry, no, a lot of music going on here. So, but I named disciplines, right? But guess what's missing? And this is what a lot of people got this far, and I was appreciative of that. You did it. You understand interdisciplinary, disciplines. What are the disciplines? Don't rehash your issue. Don't rehash your problem. Don't give me just more data and stuff. Tell me about why this is justifiably meant for an interdisciplinary analysis, okay? Get those disciplines in there. But then what's missing? What's that ingredient? What's Easter egg 1, Easter egg 7, Easter egg 10? IDS equals integration. If you're just saying that your topic needs to be explored by these disciplines, all you're doing is promoting a multidisciplinary analysis. You remember that, multidisciplinary? You're just looking at it from different disciplines. That's what you're doing. That might have been you that wrote that. I know a lot of people did. I'm not pointing at you, but I'm just saying that a lot of people did that. If you got that far, yeah, you did well, but you missed that integration. Okay, so the interdisciplinary justification then goes through and talks about the problem being complex, identifies some of the dynamics of that complexity, okay, with supporting information from other sources, peer-reviewed sources, gets into the need for an integration of these disciplines after the disciplines are identified, examined, and then to talk about probably about the aspect of integration and what it means for this topic. So instead of, we're going to look at political science, we're going to look at economics. And we're going to say, well, this part of this city has, lower economics, and frankly, it would be maybe an assumption to say that there'd be more cases of obesity and things like that, hypertension, health issues, than a higher income area, okay? So we're saying that, and we're keeping it economics, but how does that fit in to the social aspect? How does it integrate with the other disciplines to say that, well, we see that there is much more cases of higher obesity levels hypertension, et cetera, in lower income areas, which is an economics issue, but it's also a political science issue too, because what kind of representation do they have? The people that are struggling for this. What kind of healthcare opportunities are they getting? Okay, what is the job situation with the lower income? What does this mean in terms of work? So you're starting to integrate that aspect of those numbers, and you're integrating it with what are some of the dynamics that are maybe causing this at a different scale. Is it African American studies? Is it economics? Is it sociology? Is it, and so you're integrating, and this is where you have to articulate that integration, how it will benefit even better than a multidisciplinary, right? So that was an important thing, and I hope I cleared that up. Okay, get rid of all that other stuff. Use it in step 3 if you have to, but you don't have to go all the way down. All right, like that. So let's talk about assumptions of the study. Assumptions are not questions; they're pretty much statements. If you want to do a hypothesis, it's a statement. Okay. Assumptions would be that, let's say in this nutrition thing, okay, working hypotheses might be for an interdisciplinary justification of the American health system that there are many dynamics of that are influencing American health, okay, negatively. Some are positive, some are negative. Okay, the working hypothesis is that higher income is probably a good indicator of access to better food, health clubs, better nutritional health, things like that, than lower income. Okay, which means working 2 jobs, not being able to feed your family in a nutritious diet. Okay, so I mean, an assumption is like that. It could be more than one. All right, hypotheses like that. Okay, assumption is that, I mean, you get where I'm going here. I don't want to keep dragging this out forever, but if you have any questions on that, let me know. Such a cool car when it makes so much noise, isn't it? Okay, limitations of the study. See, this kind of bugs me a little bit. So many people just copied what was on here. Not copied everything, but you just use logistical, physical, experiential. I gave you that impression. I'm sorry. I'd rather have you think for yourself, okay? And there's too much of that mimicry. Like, he said this was good, so I'm going to use it. No, you're just copying, okay? There are limitations to study, okay? Frankly, I don't know what the hell logistical is here. Access and viability for gathering qualitative data is limited to people or communities the researcher knows or obtains. Okay, first of all, we're not doing qualitative, right? We're doing quantitative, okay? So that shouldn't even be, I shouldn't see qualitative in anybody's paper, and I did, okay? Logistical, okay, there's no logistical here, okay? I mean, there just isn't. We're not driving around with this study, okay? Limitations of study might include the fact that this is an undergraduate research project done by a student who doesn't have extensive research or any research experience, okay? Therefore, the data, the analysis is entry level, is not going to be as strong as professionals. There is a 6.5 week window of this class, or 7.5 week window of this class to demonstrate this research, to conduct this research. This is an extremely short period of time and constrains the ability to gather an excessive or an adequate amount of data. And so the data will be limited to perhaps 20 to who knows how many participants. Try not to cap it, okay? Then there's the fact that, like I said, the student expertise credentials in this particular area are entry level, and this is as much a learning experience for the researcher as it is into developing research. So what I'm saying here is use your mind, think, be original, think of what are your limitations here, okay? Limitations, it's one researcher, it's not a team. Limitations. I'm sick, or the researcher's been sick. Limitations. This is the first time. It's an online survey. Limitations meaning that it's anonymous. Maybe people are going to lie. There's no way to check the veracity of honesty. The limitations. Um, these are just limitations. It's not a cookie cutter thing. Okay, think about it. Don't use I, me, my, but if you have to use the current researcher, that's you, the current researcher. Don't use the royal we either. We are going to do this. No, you're not, just you. Okay, don't overdo it. Okay, now let me see if I had a list of things. Remember, everything needs to be in Times New Roman 12 point font, including your running head. Don't just let it default to Calibri 12. Times New Roman 12 point font. It's not that difficult. When you get done with your paper, highlight that whole thing and make sure by checking Times New Roman 12 that the whole thing is Times New Roman 12. Then you want to do is highlight the whole thing and click on black, because too many people come up and they've got this gray line, black line, gray line, black line. It's because you're using different sources. You're copying, you're pasting, you're doing things that just aren't consistent with this Word program. Make sure it's all black, same color. Okay, these are little things, but some of you love to cook. You're not going to be, careless about your ingredients, right? Okay, some of you like to fix your car. You're not going to, run your V8 on 7 cylinders, whatever. It's just discipline in the work, okay? The hanging paragraph, make sure you know how to do that, or you're going to get dinged. Don't guess. Same with the running head, okay? Use good sources. I'm seeing too many that have blog in them. Don't use a blog. Don't use videos. I don't care if it's YouTube or anybody else. Stay away from videos. You are not in a position. Okay, let's just say this. Could a research paper use videos? Absolutely. Could a research paper not capitalize the disciplines? Heck yes. Okay, but there are rules. Everybody know Jackson Pollock? You know Jackson Pollock? Who knows Jackson Pollock? Raise your hand. Okay, Jackson Pollock. Here, who Jackson Pollock is. I'm sure you know his art, right? So here's Jackson Pollock's art. You've seen this, right? It's hanging up in Washington, D.C. I saw some of his work there. Big paintings, right? And you know what everybody says? I can do that. The guy just threw buckets of paint on something. I could do that. Yes, you can, but guess what? You didn't. He did it. Marge, he did it. Okay? So, Jackson Pollock, he did what the transcendent artist people do. They know the rules. They know what the rules are. And then they know how to break them and transcend the rules. But if they don't know the rules to begin with, okay, they're not showing that intellectual or cognitive discipline to know what the rules are, to break them. Your writers, okay, E. E. Cummings, who had lowercase initials and everything, poets, all kinds of writers in every genre. They know the rules, but typically it's the best ones who all of a sudden come up with this original thing that blows your mind, and they broke the rules, and you can see that, that's what happens. So in research, again, it's about knowing the rules and then knowing when to break them, how to break them, and how to recognize that breaking them was okay. So in this case, I'm saying no videos. I'm not giving you, oh, research doesn't allow videos. I'm just saying the rules, especially for this class. Capitalize the disciplines. Okay? That way you recognize there's an importance to the disciplines that you know of. Okay? So that's an important thing to understand. Citations. Oh, so good. So use good sources. Go to the ASU library, do your search thing, filter it on the right, I think it is. Filter for full text online, filter for peer reviewed. And you're going to get a list of all kinds of things to use, okay? And especially for step 3, that's the way it's got to be, okay? So citations. What's on the top has to match the bottom, okay? Alphabetized. The works cited list is alphabetized, double line spaced, no line gaps between entries. Because it's hanging paragraphs, we can tell where one ends and the next one begins, okay? So that's what we're going to do there. If you have questions, you let me know. So what we're going to do is If you want to redo your step two, you can. I'm all for it. Okay. All right. I don't care what score you got. If you want to redo something, go ahead. Okay. You will be scored based on when you originally submitted it. So if you originally submitted it late by a day, I'm still going to ding you for the day. I'd like you to get this done by Friday before midnight because that's when the assignment shuts off, anyways. Um, I'm open to discuss things if you need to. I want this to be a rewarding project for you. I don't want to totally dominate your life, just dominate it a little bit. And I want you to be proud of it. Okay. So you can redo it. You can resubmit it in the same place before Friday. There shouldn't be a problem. Okay. Um, Step three now, I'm going to discuss that as we go. I mean, I could extend it, but the point is that we got to get those surveys going now. And that's my anticipation for, assuming tomorrow goes really well, I'll be home. Thursday, I'll be recovered enough to put together some videos on building your survey. It'll be Friday at the latest, okay? Um, and how to do that. And again, I'm looking at those different sites for the survey. Now, for step two, then I think we have it. So remember that. Think about, but again, if I'm forgetting this, think about your research now in terms of how you're going to get data. That's the important part now. So what you're doing conceptually is you pick the topic for research. The way you're going to get data is sending an anonymous survey, quantitative survey to random adults. Okay. Yeah. And so you're going to ask those random adults particular questions, quantitative. They all have the same answers. You're not going to ask them questions that random adults have absolutely no clue or don't even care about, right? So you're going to think about your topic, but you think about in terms of some of the data you're going to collect. What's some of the questions you're going to ask? You don't put those down, but you think about that as you move into step three and you're looking at previous research that came before you. It's going to be in the same venue as where you're heading with this. Again, if you were researching algae in a lagoon, you would look at particular research that came before you that was algae based and lagoon based and what have you. Okay. Here, you're getting data from random adults on a particular topic. So you're going to look at previous data that came in that might relate better to the public at large or people, average Americans, what have you. Okay. That's what I'm saying. You're going to keep directing it to this narrow chute of information. So your step three, which you need to watch that video. Let me look at the sample for step three before I really get myself in trouble as you do this. Okay. And I think I made it clear. Yeah, that's a different class. Okay, so this is 302, Tanner, step three, the annotated bibliography. Okay, here's the sample. Come on, open sesame. Okay, the sample is use a running head. Don't do this crap. I'll probably try to change it. Okay, notice how this student had anthropology. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 sources for anthropology. Then add psychology. 1, 2, 3, 4 sources for psychology. Sociology. 1, 2, 3, 3 sources. Okay, so now if you look at where it is, the whole thing is double line spaced, top to bottom. There are no gaps. Okay. The sources they use. Okay, Wall Street Journal Online, not thrilled. Okay. Telegraph Journal, not thrilled. Okay. The annual review of anthropology, now we're getting there. Okay. Anthropology is an academic. It's totally academic. There's no reason to go to newspapers and crap. Okay. Pediatric nursing, great. Psychology, American Psychological Association. International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health, superb. Advanced Online First, I have no idea what it is. Should have a link if it's online. Doesn't. International Journal of Environmental Research and Public Health. I think that's a repeat, still good. Sociology, the Leibniz Information Center for Economics Forum. If that's an article, if that's a lie. Okay, so societies. Okay, let's get text. AGPH perspectives, not sure. So take this for what it's worth. It's a way to show you what it looks like. It is not an indicator of the type of sources or the kind of, yes, see where she has her italicized the title of the piece. That's fine. Look at the video, mimic it here in this, and use good sources and a running head. You don't do a works cited list because the whole thing is an annotated works cited list, bibliography. Okay, follow those instructions and you'll knock this one out of the park, okay? Because in the assignment, if you look at that discussion board that comes before this, I don't want people to sweat this. There's a good chance I'm going to extend the deadline to Monday, just so you know, but I don't want you to rely on it as a one-day thing anyways. I want you to start getting your ducks in a row and doing this in a step-by-step. So your discussion board, peer-reviewed sources, which is due on the 12th, which is, what, Friday? All right, that's not bad. So look at how I posted that. It's almost like a rubric. You know what kind of score you're going to get if you do the right disciplines, things like that, all right? And if you look at how the example is in this discussion board, it's not a thorough annotated bibliography type, but it does show that. If that's italicized, don't do it, but you'll see what I mean. It looks pretty good there. There are no responses for this. Let's see. Yeah, no responses, just do that. I use this so that once you post yours, you can see other ones too. And then, it's okay to, but use good sources, all right? So I hope this helps. I know I'm at 27 minutes. There's no credit for this video. The credit for this video is the fact that you can redo your thing, your step 2, okay? So have a good one. I will talk to you Thursday or by email or whatever you want to do. Remember, phone calls, email. I don't care. I'm here to talk to. I think everybody that's talked to me so far in this class has come away, slightly less pissed than they were when they called. No, they're usually pretty happy. And all right, so forks up, peace.